Welcome along, everybody. We are just about to get started for Qatar. Hello, we are here, ready to go, and we are going now. Good stuff. Right, cracking on then. This is going to be as quick as we're going to go through the race, hopefully then, so I can go to bed early. Right then, there we go. Championship wrapped up then, drivers. Championship wrapped up in the constructors for Mercedes, then good stuff indeed. Then welcome along then to stream. 23rd round of the season. We're nearly done. One more round to go after this one, and there we go. Cracking on with qualifying then, and they've got 15 seconds left of qualifying then, and we can crack on then to Abu Dhabi in a week's time then, and see you there. No, first actually we've got to settle down now. Good evening all from Mark Smith, and good stuff indeed. I'll slow down now, but I was enjoying that, to be fair. Hopefully the race can be as quick as that as well then, but we can get ourselves 19 drivers in the lobby then. Unfortunately for one person, which is X-Gamer of all people, he has not bothered to show up then. Good stuff, fantastic stuff indeed then. To be fair, most of the silver grid haven't turned up tonight, but nonetheless we've got 19 on the grid then to take us around this famous, or new famous Lusail circuit then as well then. Good evening all then. Oi oi, says Ginger Asian. Oi oi, Savaloy to you sir as well. And Ginner said, let's get the party started then. Good stuff indeed, then we can crack on. Right then, we've got the go-ahead from Ginner then. We can crack on then for the party, but doesn't look like anybody is partying on the track tonight. So there. Right then, I can just sit here and mull over things then in my life. I need to do some Christmas shopping, and pretty much that's about it really. So there we go. Yes, right then, I think we're going to have some sort of action then soon. Kamara Racer seems to be getting himself busy in the pit lane, or in the garage, I should say. Then there's a Mercedes coming out now of somebody as well, and a Ferrari as well then. Good stuff. Some action out on track then to start us underway then here in Losail then for Silver round 23, and looking forward to seeing how it's going to fare. Then, of course, a penalty-friendly track, let's just put it that way, as a few drivers then found out last night in gold as well then. So we'll have to wait and see then how it's going to all how it's going to fare when they cross the line, that is, because it could be a few there could be a few chopping and changing, especially if it's close together at the end of the race then. But of course they've got to get themselves through qualifying first, and then 29 laps of the Qatar Grand Prix as well then. So we will wait and see how it all underways, and there we go. And then out of the way then goes the McLaren, then Jenna going through then in the racing ball. Then where is the Ferrari then of Vessia? Then Vessia is ahead of us then into the hairpin then of sector 2, and there is Mercedes then very closely in proximity. Then I think that's Tory then reserving in place of Beast. Then of course we wrapped up the title and decided to go for a holiday, so fair enough then. Right then, so we can crack on, and like I said, in the Constructors' Championship then there is, the Drivers' Championship has been wrapped up now. It's now Ultra Beast has claimed the title. Mumford then has been confirmed P2. And Gordo, of course, has claimed P3 then in the drivers' standings, that is, as well then, as there's a bit of a queue forming then behind Vessia now, so that's fantastic stuff indeed. And like I said, a few drivers then not sorting themselves out very well then in terms of getting themselves around the out laps even then, so hopefully it doesn't all go to pieces, let's just say, in the qualifying laps as well then. But there we are then. Here comes Vessia then to start off his first flying lap then, I should say, then, of the qualifying session then. In the Constructors, as I said then, the drivers top 3 drivers have been wrapped up then in terms of Beast, Mumford and Gordon. Then we've got the Constructors Champions have been crowned as well for silver. Then they are Mercedes and Kiki and Ultimate Beast, of course. Beast, of course, not racing tonight then after taking his sabbatical, then doing all the hard work. But Kiki has done a good shift then for Mercedes as well then, but they've claimed the title then last week in Las Vegas. So that is that wrapped up. No, it wasn't. It was earlier than that, and it was Brazil then before Las Vegas, wasn't it? So that is wrapped up then, but there's still all to play for then in P2 and P3 then for the Constructors. Then I believe it's between the Alpine outfit then and the Aston Martin outfit as well then. So we'll wait and see then how that's going to play out then in this affair there. But I'm not quite sure. I don't think it's going to be wrapped up tonight then. Actually, it will go on to Abu Dhabi then for the final Grand Prix of the season. And speaking of final Grand Prix of the season, we could see the Bronze Championship then after 24 rounds go on to the final Grand Prix as well then, with I think it's Marvsky and Kian are separated by 5 points then in bronze in the driver's title. It might be settled tomorrow then, depending on how Marvsky and Kian do fare in the Qatar Grand Prix as well in bronze tomorrow night then. But it could tickle on then, or trickle on I should say, goodness me, onto the final round of the season. And here comes Vessia then to finish off his first flying lap then of the session as well. I think he's gone a bit wide, and that's almost an invalidation I think then, but he's managed to keep it just about within track limits up to the line. Then it's a 22.0 then for Vessia, then puts himself obviously onto the front row as he's the first man to set a time. Then Tori's at 22.5, then puts himself P2. Kamara Racer 22.0 sorry as well. Then 21.9 sorry from Gino, then puts himself P1. And oh dear, time's tumbling in. There's Moranov done at 21.5 as well then in the Haas. Good stuff indeed from him as well. MHD is retired then in the pit lane. I think he's doing a good service then of trying to start from the back of the field then, which is after his qualifying yesterday in Golden, he should do so for sure, because he was pretty impressive, wasn't he? There we go then. Vessia then bound to P4, then Kiki a 21.6 then for the Mercedes driver, then onto the front row of the grid then for Kiki as the time's tumbling in here in qualifying now. Here comes Nameless, and Nameless is up to P3 then, a 21.8 for him as well then. Good stuff indeed. Maranov then up to the line as well then in the Red Bull, then Maranov then Lewis Riley that is in P8 then. I thought he was Maranov then for some reason, but no, it's Lewis Riley then P9 for Lewis Riley as it stands then, Gino as or P9 now because it's 300 Ps, but up to P5. Good stuff from him then as well. Where is the other Ferrari of R2 Beat just starting off a lap then is R2 Beat then heading down towards turn 1, and we'll come back to him then because he is further, or he's just starting off a lap. Then we've got drivers then further along then, as we've got Nigel going through into sector 3 momentarily. And looking good then. Bronze champ better go on to Abu Dhabi due, says Ginger Agent. It might well do indeed. 5 points separates Milesky and Kian then tomorrow night. here in Qatar then for the penultimate round of the season. Then Marvsky would have to win and hope that Kian gets minimal points then, or no points, to be able to be crowned the champion then, of course, then. So it could rumble on then into Abu Dhabi. Then we'll have to wait and see. And to be fair to Dan, he is not out of it either then. I think he's what is he? He's I think he's like 45 points away then, so he's still mathematically in the championship fight. 22-7 for Nigel, then puts himself P10, the slowest of the time runners as it stands. And Muta has started off a lap then. We'll come back to him because R2 beat flying through into Sector 3 on his first flying lap as well here. Then let's see what he can do then around into this very flowing part of the circuit, the most flowing part of the circuit. It's flat to the floor then through here, just about then, as we go through into the penultimate corner now for R2 beat. Can go wide here, and that can invalidate, but he's managed to keep within track now just as well then for the other Ferrari. Then the Ferrari seems to be flicking that back end out through the last couple of corners. There's an Alpine trying to get himself back in the pit lane. Here comes R2 beat, and let's see what he can do then up to the line. It's a 22.5, then puts himself P9 ahead of Lewis Riley then for the time being as well. Good stuff indeed. Mr. Elite then coming through Sector 2. Goodness me, Muta has drifted that Red Bull then through his Sector 2 as well then. God, that was pretty good car control indeed from the Red Bull driver then. He has done a good job then reserving last night in gold, of course, then, and hopefully can do some even better job I should say then in the Red Bull then tonight as well. Reflection then on his first lap as well, then heading through, although he's gone a bit wide then, and that is invalidated his time then, so unfortunately we call that on stream then, so bad news for him. But now we go back to the Red Bull then of Muta then, who's reserving in place of one of the Red Bulls. I'm not quite sure who, but he's reserving in place of them. And here he comes then round the final corner then for his first outing here in qualifying tonight in silver, and up to the line then he goes then. And what's it going to be? It's a 21.9, puts himself P6 here tonight then, so good stuff indeed, and good start indeed then from the Red Bull reserve as well. Fantastic. I thought we just saw someone jump up the order. Mr. Elite, I think, jumping up the order then to P9. Then Mr. Elite's been on a rich run of form then in the last few races, then getting some good points in the latter stage of this season, latter half of the season even as well. And is looking to try and repeat the feat here once again then. And so far, so good then. Good stuff indeed then. So we'll have to wait and see then Mr. Elite can get some more points on the board tonight then. And Gordo and Jay Hings out on circuit as well. Then the Aston Martins then taking to the track now. Of course, they're in a bit of a title fight. Well, not a title fight, in a championship fight, I should say, for P2 in the constructors then, with their rivals then of Alpine, who are currently then where are they? P5. P5, and unfortunately Mumford not set a time just yet then, so that's that. Then Jay Hings has done a P7 time. That's a 22.0 for Jay Hings, whereas Gordo is P11, then 22.4 for him as it stands just outside the top 10 at the moment then. So we'll have to wait and see if anyone else can beat that time, or can he beat that time himself in the next outing. I'm pretty sure he can. 10 minutes left of the qualifying session, and there we go then. Evening, Alex, and all 11 got pens last night. Can Silver beat it then? So, right then, we'll have to wait and see if anyone can beat the 12 drivers who got penalties then last night. I think there was quite a few penalties in the 100% league as well. That if memory serves correctly, then I will think it was less than 2 that actually got themselves to the line without any penalties then in the end. But I think Mushroom was one of them as well, to be fair. So he did a good job then in Qatar, then trying to keep those penalties to a minimum. Then that could help him in the next race, tomorrow night, I should say, in Bronze, who of course are going to be taking on this track as well. Then of course championship fight is still alive then in Bronze for the drivers. The constructors actually has been wrapped up in Bronze, so that was it's one of the earliest ones we actually had sorted then, with Kean and Smithy then getting the Ferrari team then on top then in the Bronze constructors as well then. So that is good stuff indeed. Then Mumford then on a lap then going through into the end of Sector 1 then heading into Sector 2, and so far so good then for Mumford. Then we'll come back to him then. Where is Lewis Riley then? Lewis Riley is starting through Sector 1 as well then. Gordo coming back to the pit lane. R2 beat has finished off another lap then. He's 22.222 for R2 beat then. He's P10. Here comes Kamara Racer then, P4 for Kamara Racer onto the second row of the grid then, a massive improvement indeed as well then. Oh, he's been demoted. Ginner's got himself up into P3 then, and Kamara's down to P5 then, but still so good, so very good stuff indeed then from the Williams and the Racing Bull of course as well then. Heading into the final quarter for Vess here then. Let's see what Vess is up to then in the second outing then. Again, almost going very wide then. He's abandoned his time back into the pit lane then for Vess here as well. Then R2B going through Sector 2. Gordo starting off another lap then. Tory then heading into the hairpin of Sector 2 as well then. Where is Lewis Riley that I hear you ask? And Lewis Riley is flying through the final couple of corners and into the final corner now. We've just had Sweet Andrew P, I think, jump up the order to P7 then as well. Mumford then up into P4 then. So Mumford and Sweet then looking pretty good then in the constructors fight with Aston Martin. Then Lewis Riley into P9 then with a 21.999, and don't call anybody too much. It's not that much of an emergency then, but Lewis Riley then looking to improve on that one as well then, but he's got himself into the top 10 as it stands then. Fantastic stuff indeed. RTB going a bit slowly then. I think he's run out of fuel then, it looks like, for the Ferrari then, unfortunately, so he's going to have to get his way back to the pit lane quickly, but I think he's going to have to get out of the way first of this Mercedes then, of Torre then, who's flying around the final corner now. And let's see what Torre can do then up to the line then for his second outing then, up to the line for the Mercedes. And it is going to be P12 then. He's improved from P15 then, a 22-1 then for the Mercedes driver, then puts himself further up the order as well then. Good stuff indeed then. Where is Nigel? Then Nigel heading through sector 2. We'll come back to him then. Where is the rest of the order then? Where is Kiki? As Kiki up to the line, Kiki pole position then for the Mercedes driver. Then it's a 21.280. Then he's improved by almost 4/10 of a second, I think, there as well then. Brilliant stuff indeed from Kiki then to take pole position here in Qatar as it stands with 7 minutes left of the session. But that is able to hold a candle to that sort of time then. That's a pretty impressive time indeed then. That's Ultimate Beast sort of pace then from his teammate, that is. And maybe Beast giving him the extra boost then that he needed then, or maybe that's Beast's car that Kiki has jumped in instead, and that's got some extra upgrades then on the Mercedes car. We'll never know. We won't go into that too much because there is some conspiracies out there. Let's just say that. Nameless then in P5. I think he's coming back to the pit lane actually, but Nameless then up into P5 as well. Then move to then P8 for the time being. Back out on track as well then. Nameless is up into P2, I should say. I missed that completely, but Nameless then onto the front row of the grid then with a 21.3. Not so far away from Kiki as well then. That's good stuff indeed. Nigel then coming back into the pit then. I think it's the same for Torre as well then. So where is Nigel? Then Nigel is cruising around the circuit then to get him. Oh, he's already put it into none quite early on then. I think he is coming back to the pit lane now as well then. Reflection out on track then, heading through the first few corners in the Williams end. Looking forward to see what time we can get on the board tonight there. Right then, Ginger Rage. Right then, we've got that Ginger McLaren driver got 48 seconds of penalties last Wednesday. Then that was Ginger Rage in the 100% race around this circuit itself. 57 laps, I think that was as well then, which is quite a feat indeed. And thankfully, he didn't get disqualified somehow, so that's pretty good then. So, and Mushroom was called him useless. Must be the setup, says Ginger Rage. I've done tomorrow's setup as well, says Mushroom. So Mushroom and Ginger Rage, of course, teammates in the 100% league. They're going to get themselves sorted for Abu Dhabi on Wednesday night then to round off the 100% season as well. Then that's the final race of the 100% season this Wednesday. Looking forward to that one as well then. Never mind then, as Gordo said, 6/10 up and invalidated. Unfortunately for Gordo, that is bad news. Need a 1-2 on Wednesday, says Ginger Age. And my goodness me, if McLaren can do that, then that will be pretty good stuff indeed then. But unless there's a Verstappen somewhere in the midst, then maybe that is possible as well then. We got it, says Mushroom as well then. Good stuff. Right, well, McLaren looking good then for Abu Dhabi on Wednesday night then, so stay tuned for that one. First we've got to get through Silver then, which is looking pretty good indeed in qualifying, and Muta up into P3. I've missed it completely then, but Muta then doing a great job then in the Red Bull then tonight then. Fantastic stuff indeed, and improving to the second row of the grid then. Moranov then is coming through to finish. Unfortunately he's invalidated this time then. Jay Hings then P7, then Kamara Racer then heading off into another lap then P8 for the time being. Where is Reflection? His teammate then Reflection is up into P15, a 22.3 for Reflection. Is ahead now of Mistrally and Gordo. Then Favre yet to set a time, and MHD of course retiring in the pit lane because he's too quick. Well, he was compared to everyone else then on Sunday night last night, but that's fair play indeed then as well. Then thanks to MHD as well for stepping in and reserving as well tonight then, because we've got quite a few reserves here as well then, let's just say that. Right then, Jay Hings unfortunately has invalidated his time, so he's going to have to come back to the pit lane. I think he was just about have time to get himself back in and back out again. We'll have to wait and see then. Kamara Racer then flying through then into the end of sector 2, I should say. Then I think this is going to be his final one and done then in qualifying. Well, not one and done because he's already done that lap or so, but he might be his final lap in qualifying here because he's going to run out of time. Otherwise then, very close to invalidating then through into sector 3 then, and again over the curbs then on the exit as we head into the penultimate corner. Now let's see what Kamara Racer can do then on his final attempt in qualifying here, I believe, unless he's coming into the pit lane now. But he might do that now as we go up to the line now for Kamara. Then the final time here in Los Isles then for the Williams driver. Then P5, a 21.614 then for the Williams. Then P5 that is in a third row grid, on the grid I should say, for the time being that is as well then, because there could be some improvements from others then still to come then in the last 3 minutes of the session here. But unfortunately I don't think Kamara has either timed it wrong or he's not too fussed about coming out at the last minute here in qualifying. Then he just wants to get himself a lap time on the board, then with some clear air on the track as well, and he's done that very well indeed. So that is Kamara, I think, done and dusted here in qualifying then for the Losail Grand Prix, or the Qatar Grand Prix, that is. Guan Williams, lads, says Mushroom, then we got it. Good stuff indeed. I am a Verstappen. Shame I am more Jos than Max. Well, you have to wait and see what the next one's going to be called. So there we go. Then there could be, you could be the next iteration. Then imagine that. Then a PK Verstappen mix of genes, whatever it's called, and that's going to be yes, interesting, let's just say the least, as we go through. Then, oh dear, Mumford seems to be having a few technical difficulties then, because that car does not look very stable, let's just say then. But heading through into sector 2 now, he has gone 1.5 tenths faster than his previous sector 1 time, so he's improved then. Pretty good stuff indeed then in the first sector alone for the Alpine. Jay Hings, Season 9 Silver Champ, says Ginger Asian, and Mushroom has said you've cursed him now, so that's well, that's probably true, to be fair. I think Ginger Age does hold the commentator's curse. Hopefully I will have not cursed anybody so far this season. I'm not going to say Jay Hings Season 9 Silver Champion, because I am just going to hope and pray that something like that may happen then. 2.5 tenths up then in Sector 2 then for Mumford. Then he is going to put himself into the range of the second row of the grid with that sort of improvement. Around the final corner, there's a racing ball then almost in the way then. That is Jinner then trying to get himself out of the way then. That might have unsettled the Alpine slightly then, but coming through the final corner then, let's see what Mumford can do then up to the line, and it's going to be a 21.5, then puts himself P4 into the onto the second row of the grid. Then he's off the track then, trying to get out of the way then of that racing ball of Jinner. Then maybe he did get unsettled a bit then. Oh dear, his internet doesn't seem to be very settled either, to be honest, but okay. So there we go. Right, we crack on. Right then, Nigel, I think next to start off a lap then is Maranov, then further through in sector 2. Where is Sweet? Where is Sweet? He is further along then, as is... No, not as is Lewis Riley. We'll go on board then with the Alpine. Where is the Alpine then coming through the penultimate corner now? These invalidated going over that final corner as well. Then goodness me, that maybe that's whatever that car is. That's a green thing. It's not Nigel then. It must have been Nameless then. Might have unsettled the or unsighted the Alpine driver of 300p. Then P9 at best for him. Unfortunately, then in this qualifying session, then that is not good news indeed. Then for 300p, then he's staying P9 at best in this session as it stands. Then right, who is next across the line? Then Kamara Racer is back in the pit lane. He's retired then from the session as well then, unfortunately, but we did see him go out a bit earlier on in this in the lap then to try and get himself a bit of clearer air then potentially in the final runs here in qualifying. The track is very busy out there at the moment then, as Gino has invalidated his time as well then, unfortunately for Gino. Mumford then is coming back to the pit lane too. Then he is done and dusted, I think, in qualifying here. P5 at best for him, P7 for Gino then as it stands, but where will we see more improvements then as Nigel coming around the penultimate corner now? Let's see what Nigel can do then in the final couple of corners, and he's not improving in sector 2 at the moment. Now around the final corner then, let's see what the kick driver can do then up to the line then for Nigel. What's it going to be this time? It's going to be an improvement, but he stays P12 for the time being, that is. Red Bull then is next across the line, and Lewis Riley then stays in P10, and we've got more jumpers around, jumpers we've got more jumpers, more people jumping up the order, I should say. It's Gordo up into P6. Goodness me, that's fantastic stuff indeed. Muta stays P4. Moranov then is next across the line, I think. Then Jay Hings is next across the line. Sorry, here he is then up to the line. P9 for the time being, but he stays P9. Tory then P10, improves to the top 10 as it stands. In Reflection P11, good stuff from him. Then Vessi now P11 as well. Then good stuff indeed. Then improvements all over the place as well. Then Nameless has gone fastest. Nameless is on pole position, but Kiki, what can Kiki do then in the final corner? He can't get it. He can't get it then, unfortunately for Kiki. Then he spun the car, and that is Nameless then pole position here in Qatar then, I think, unless Maranov has invalidated his time, unfortunately, then he is not going to be able to improve. Then where is Mr. Elite? Then can Mr. Elite then steal it away then in the final dying embers? No, he stays P17, unfortunately for Mr. Elite. Then that is that then for qualifying. Done and dusted then. Kiki then crosses the line. Then P2 for Kiki. Then unfortunately that spin on the final corner then cost him, but I don't think he was improving on his previous 2 sectors in that first lap, in that last lap, I should say. Unfortunately for Kiki, then P2 front row of the grid then, but Nameless then pole position then in the kick salver then, looking very good indeed in that green machine then, and he has got himself a pole position to his name then here in silver then in the penultimate Grand Prix of the season. Brilliant stuff indeed. Then we'll run through the classification very quickly indeed then and get ourselves a nice little shout out to our sponsors then before we crack on with 29 laps of racing action here in Qatar in just a moment's time then. But very well done indeed to Nameless then, who takes pole position here in the kick Sauber. Then there he is then on the top step, then Kiki on the front row in the Mercedes, Maranov P3 and Muta then round row 2 I should say. Then goodness me, Mumford and Gordo then two Constructors Championship rivals then, P5 and P6 respectively. Then Kamara Racer P7, Gino P8, then Jay Hings P9, Tory P10 rounding off the top 10 as well. Then Vessia P11, then Reflection P12, Sweetener P13, Lewis Riley P14, Nigel P15, R2B P16, Mr. Elite P17. Unfortunately for Farf, didn't get a time in, and MHD retired at the beginning of qualifying as well here. Right then, here we go. Well, hopefully soon we'll go, but the drivers then selecting their strategy, selecting their setups, selecting everything they want to select, having a cup of tea and maybe a quick snack of something before they get themselves racing here as well then. Right, good stuff indeed. Ginger Age, Alex didn't forget the sponsors. Unfortunately for Ginger Age, then he seems to have some sort of, well, being in IT, some technical difficulties then, but he has some issues at the beginning of this, between the race and the qualifier, that is. I'm not quite sure what it is, but there we are. Right, we can crack on then. I need to get the tyres sorted, don't I? Right, here we are then, in terms of the strategies then. 19 drivers and unfortunately for one driver, then they couldn't get themselves out of bed in time. But there we are then. MHD, then medium compound tyres, then in the McLaren, looking for a good start then in the back of the field. Then Favre, then hard compound tyres, P18 in a bit of a McLaren sandwich then with Mr. Elite, then P17 on the medium compound tyres as well then. So McLaren not switching the strategies around. They're sticking both on the medium compound tyres to start this race. Then R2 beat hard compound tyres, then P16 for him. Then Nigel on the mediums in P15. And Ginger Age got stage front. So Lewis Riley then hard compound tyres P14, medium compounds then for the rest of the remaining drivers outside the top 10. That is Sweetener P13, Reflection P12 and Vessia P11. Then inside the top 10 we've got Tory then P10 in the Mercedes, then P10 sorry, he's already in P10 then, but he's in the Mercedes and he's on the medium compound tyres. And there's an Aston Martin of Jay Hings then, who seems to be having a few problems then trying to keep it on the track there, and has got off then. He's on the medium compound tyres as well then in the Aston Martin. Gina then hard compound tyres then for the racing board to start with this race. Then Kamara Racer in a bit of a sandwich then with the two hard compound tyre runners then with Gordo P6 also on the hards, but Kamara Racer P7 on the medium compound. Into the top 5, they're all on medium compound tyres. Mumford in P5, then Muta in P4, then Maranov P3, Kiki then on the front row in P2, then and our pole sitter then of Nameless is on the medium compound tyres as well then in the kick Sauber. There we are then, we got through that quickly enough. Good stuff indeed then. Right, we can crack on now hopefully for the start of the Grand Prix. And there we are then, and it still doesn't know how to switch it off and on. Oh, the switch off and on fix then, of course. Yeah, we're working in IT, that's all you need to know apparently according to Ginger Age. So I've learned from the best in that sense. But there we go then. Right, fingers crossed everyone's parked up on the grid in the right spots, and we can crack on then with the start of this Grand Prix in just a jiffy. MHD then just lining up then in his grid slot then, but he seems to be taking a bit of a while. But there we are then, good stuff. Hopefully we can crack on now. Any lights coming on? Anything? Anything at all? No? Hello? Sometime today, please. This is fun. Well, bear with us whilst we get ourselves sorted. I'm not quite sure what's happening then, because it seems like I think the grid's all parked up. That's MHD at the back of the field, and he is definitely in his grid slot. Everyone seems to be parked up in their grid slots, which is perfect stuff indeed then. So, right. What is going on, says R2Beat then. I'm not quite sure, to be honest, but I'm fingers crossed we can get ourselves racing in just a moment then. Lobby restart, says ALR Esports then. Good stuff indeed. It is broken, says Mushroom then. So yes, we are having a lobby restart now, so we'll get ourselves restarted then and away with the race itself then. Instead of worrying about this shenanigans, then we'll leave this. I can't leave the session then, unfortunately, but yes. Migrating host then, there we go then, that's good stuff indeed. Smithy has left the session then, and now it will start. Of course it will. So we'll quit the main menu because we don't want to bother with that then. And we can get ourselves ready to re-race or get into the race itself then in just a jiffy then. In the meantime, we need to talk about what we had for tea then. I had meatball marinara and some spaghetti bolognese, and it was fantastic, just the way Mama cooks it. So there we are then. Lobby restart, says Farf as well then. Yeah, there we go. Right then, we can crack on then. So we will get ourselves restarted then and into the new lobby then very soon, as soon as it's ready. In the meantime then, tell us what you had for tea then, because I had, like I said, I had meatball marinara with some spaghetti as well. It's absolutely delightful indeed. And yes, I'm sure you had something much better, especially Gordo. He has something pretty good for tea on a Monday night then. So we will wait and see then what is going to be going on with that then. Whilst we wait, we will be chatting about our tea, just getting the lobby restarted then before we can crack on then with the race itself. Then there'll be no qualifying, of course. We've done the qualifying. The grid will be taken from that qualifying session, then we'll jump straight into the race, the formation lap that is, and then into the race itself as well then. So it won't be too long then before we get ourselves sorted. If you're watching the stream, remember your setup, says Mushroom as well then. What have you broken, says Ginger Age then. I'm not quite sure, but there we go. No invite yet, so unfortunately we're going to have to just stare at Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, and there we go then. Good stuff indeed then. And of course Max was crowned the champion then. Lewis finished P4 in the race last night, on Sunday night that is, or Sunday afternoon. Leclerc finished on the podium as well then in P3 then. Fantastic stuff indeed. Hard to explain what I had, says Gordo. Chicken and broccoli sort of thing, made with chicken soup, almost a curry but not a curry. Really hard to explain but really nice. So there we go then. That's exactly what we need to hear then, and long-winded enough to take up my time then, as we are still waiting for the lobby to open, and hopefully one day we can get ourselves into that session again then, still no invitations just yet then, so that's fantastic stuff indeed. Yeah, waiting for that to get sorted, and we can crack on then. But in the meantime, then we'll just have to natter about our teas. And so Gordo's given me what we wanted. Then the new lobby is now open as well. So jump into the new lobby as quickly as possible, and there we go. Then we can get ourselves back in then and back underway, and we're just waiting then for this session to fill back up as well, of course, and we can crack on. But yes, indeed. Very good stuff. So, right then, we can get some invitations out then. I think we'll try and help out Smithy and MHD as one of the reserves then, who was started in this race. And so was Miranov as well. And who else was there? Goodness me, I'm not quite sure, to be honest. There's so many. There we go. We'll send those three an invite. Crunch crisps on top for texture, says Gordo. That's fantastic. Oh, I think he's definitely got the cuisine or the culinary skills down to a T. Then has Gordo as well. Then fantastic stuff indeed. And yes, like I said, just waiting for people to get themselves into the new lobby. Then and we can crack on then with the start of the Grand Prix. Hopefully, Nigel seems to be having a few issues connecting now as well, then, which is fantastic. Oh, and I've disappeared. Well, that's fun. What's going on here then? Not sure what's happening now. Oh my goodness me, then this is going to be fun, isn't it? Codemasters released a patch today, if you didn't notice. So, that's fantastic. Right then, hopefully this one will work. If I can join this one, can I join? Please let me join. Oh dear. Oh, connecting to Farf, apparently. slowly. Oh dear, this is not looking promising then. So yeah, well, that's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah, it seems like we've got some sort of issues. Are you a chef, Gordo? Says Ginger Age then in the comment section. Then as it's yeah, it's not working at all, is it? Unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully we can. Oh well, I'm in. I think I'm in. Anyway, I'm not sure this time. It's I'm not sure if people are in there or not for me now. I don't know where I am. There we go then. But yes, okay. Well, hopefully someone can tell me. I'd love to tell you that it's a yes. Says Ginger. Says Gordo then, but I'm not sure he is officially a chef. But there we go then. I think I'm in now. Yes, I think I am now, which is good. Where is MHD and the like as well? Then I will get them a quick invite. Who's already in? Never mind. Good stuff indeed. Right then. Yeah, bear with us whilst we get the grid sorted. It's taken a long time already then because a few people are not joining the session quickly enough. Let's have a look and see who we can speed up then. It was Vessia, then it is MHD, then I thought he was already in then, but obviously not. Then MHD, it was whoever Fav's teammate was then, and it was Kamara Racer then as well then, who are the other people. So we'll give them a quick invitation and we will get themselves, let's give them an invitation, hurry them up a bit, shall we? Where is, oh, he's already in then, that's good stuff. But actually, it seems like the people that I'm trying to invite are already in the session, so never mind. We'll just have to sit tight then, and we'll just sit tight. That is. So there we go then. Good stuff indeed. Yeah, I'd love to tell you what. Would a chef know the name of what he? Wouldn't a chef know the name of what he cooked then? So good point, says Mushroom. Then very very well done indeed. Very well made Mushroom then. So fantastic. Very well made mushrooms indeed. MHD now has joined as well. I think has he? Oh, hopefully this time. Yes, he has got himself in the session then. Good stuff. Two remaining then. I think Kamara Racer is one of them then, and somebody else then as well. It's more important about the taste rather than the name, says Ginger Age. Then I think he's hit the nail on the head there as well. Then fantastic stuff from Ginger Age there, as per usual. He's absolutely brilliant. On the menu and chicky soup thingy. Oh, right, yes, okay. I think that's what Gordo had, but he's not sure. Because, yes, there we go. That's the name for it now. A chicky soup thingy is going to be the new name now for that, whatever it's called. So there we are. We've already crowned a champion then in silver. We've crowned a new dish for a new traditional dish then, I think. Is it going to be a Scottish traditional dish then? I'm not quite sure. It sounds very Scottish, to be fair. Kamara Racer then, I think, will hopefully join us then soon. And then we can almost get ourselves underway then. We're just missing one person after that. And who are we missing? Ferrari then of Vessia, it looks like. So Vessia then is not joining us as it stands in, so that's good stuff. Let's have a look and see if we can invite Vessia, shall we? Because I'm pretty sure it won't let me. Oh, I think he's joined anyway now. Good stuff indeed. Yes, he's there. Good stuff. Perfect. Oh dear, I don't want to leave. So there we go then. All right, good. We're all sorted. Finally then, we can crack on. ALR Bake Off, says Ginger Age. Oh my goodness me, especially you in the kitchen then, Ginger Age. And I'm sure that will end in some sort of fire hazard, or it will be a fire hazard to start with then, but it will definitely end in a blaze of glory, let's just say that. And yeah, there we go. So there we go then. Don't forget your setup, says Mushroom then. Good luck, Gordo, then, as well then. Fully agree, Ginger. I always say the same when I watch MasterChef and ramble on about presentation. If it tastes good, I'll eat it, says Gordo as well. And that is pretty much a chef's kiss from me as well then. Brilliant stuff indeed. ALR Bake Off then. Chicky soup thingy, I like it, says Gordo as well then. So chicky soup thingy it will be from now on. And there we go then. So that's if you ever come back to the stream then next week Gordo, and say that you've had another chicky soup thing, we know exactly what you mean, because we've been rambling on about it for the last 10 minutes or so. Brilliant stuff. So hopefully we can get ourselves underway for the race at some point soon. I'm not sure, we don't wait for anybody else as far as I know, but we can hopefully crack on then in the next few seconds or so. It looks like the lobby is all sorted and we've got everybody in the session as well then. So there we are. Storm Duncan Dave battering my windows, says Serious Mushroom then. Oh dear, at least he's not battering anything else then, so that's good. And we can hopefully crack on then with the restart of this race then in just a jiffy then. I'm going to roll the ads once again then because I can, and we'll see you back in just a second. Right, here we go then. We are back. We're just about to get ourselves underway. Fingers crossed it works this time. And Ginger Age just said, good God, Alex. Goodness me, what have I done now? Maybe I let something go there, but hopefully nobody heard it. There we are. You might as well put the ads on. Makes up for Sean forgetting then, says Serious Mushroom. Then yes. To be fair, as I said before, I don't think he forgot, actually. I think he very much did remember, but he also remembered that it crashed his computer every time he does it, so fair enough. But there we go then. We can hopefully now get ourselves into the race then straight away. Of course, the qualifying has been completed. We won't be doing the qualifying again. We'll do a formation lap, I believe, again, but that'll be that then. We can get ourselves set then. Remember your setups then, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlebreds, and remember the setups then. Remember everything else then. Remember your helmets, and remember your gloves and steering wheel. And there we go then. So once again, we are in the loading screen then, waiting for people to get themselves into the session, then into the cars and get themselves racing as well. Then setups, says Gordo then as well. Then making sure everybody remembers their setup as well. Then of course, well, to be fair then, for those who forget the setup, then that is pretty good news for those who remember the setup then, isn't it as well? But of course, usually there is a few issues with that sort of thing then at a lobby restart then. But hopefully they've got themselves. Definitely have used enough time then now to make sure they've got themselves the setups loaded, then the fuel strategy sorted, and the race strategy sorted as well then. So that's good stuff indeed, I hope. But we'll have to wait and see as we get ourselves into the race. But just loading in now then, hoping for some action then on track very soon indeed. And there we are. The 5 red lights are coming on then. It's the formation lap, thankfully. Good stuff. And we can crack on then. Once again, another formation. That then, has anybody changed the tyre situation? Then I don't think they have, actually. Everyone has stayed with the same strategy then as before, and we will cruise around quickly then a formation lap then of the Losail circuit then to get ourselves underway then, and some racing underway then very shortly then. But of course, slight delay then with the lobby restart. Then hopefully it doesn't happen again then. I think we actually did fix it then when Smithy left then. So potentially, if the admins are listening then, potentially then if Smithy leaves, if it happens again, then we can just crack on with the race as it is then, and hope that the host is reliable enough. Then it's probably Farf, so that's that then. So good stuff. But yeah, we are then. Unfortunately, still 19 on the grid. Then nobody else could join then for that restart. But there we go. Then taking us away then is going to be Nameless then from P1. Then of course pole position for Nameless. Then very good stuff indeed. Then Pippin Kiki to the post. Then in that final lap of qualifying. Then Kiki then P2 on the front row of the grid. Then Miranov P3, Muta P4. Then rounding off the second row. Mumford and Gorda then in a constructors championship fight. Then in between the Alpines and the Aston Martins for P2 in the standings. That is, with Mercedes already wrapping up the constructors title. Then they are looking to maximise the points down and switching the strategies around. Then Gordo on the hard compound tyres, then Kamara Racer P7, Gino in P8, then also on the hard compound tyres as well. Jay Hings and Tory then round off the top 10 then in the Aston Martin and Mercedes respectively as well here. Vessia then in the on mediums in P11, then Reflection in P12 as well as Sweet Under P. Then Lewis Riley then hard compound tyres in the Red Bull, then P14 for him. Nigel then P15 medium compound tyres, as is R2B then, and Mr. Elite then P16 and P17 respectively. Then Farf P18 on the hard compound tyres in the Racing Bull then, and MHD in the McLaren brings up the rest of the grid then in P19, then medium compound tyres for him. What's the new update to break the game then, says Mushroom? Well, probably, yeah, that's usually what happens, isn't it? So we can crack on now with a new update, and they'll hopefully release a new update next week as well then with a fix. So that's the way it works with Coke Masters these days, isn't it? With the tyre smoke then being patched a week after they patched the tyre smoke, wasn't it? Which is pretty good. Right then, hopefully we can get ourselves lined up on the grid then. Hurry up. There's a kick-sab then who's having an issue somewhere, and MHD is very reluctant to get into that pit box, isn't he? Right then, hopefully this time it will work. It's working. Brilliant stuff indeed. Right then, here we go. 5 red lights are on here in Qatar then. Kamara's got a drive-through penalty for a jump start then, unfortunately for the Williams driver. Then that's going to be horrible stuff indeed. There's a slow start there as well. There's ghost cars all over the place as well. Kamara Racer then is off the circuit then. Not sure what's happened to Kamara Racer there, but he's had a problem at the start of the Grand Prix. He's down to the back of the field then. Goodness me, Muta's up 2 places up into the front row then, trying to battle with Nameless then for the lead of the Grand Prix. Kiki has lost a place then to the Red Bull driver then, heading through turn 2 and 3. And Mumford and Gordo battling away side by side as well. Then Mumford's under pressure then. then from Gordo, but Gordo's got himself, there's a car off in the background. That is Jinner, I think, isn't it? Who is? No, it's not Jinner, it's somebody else. It's R2B. No, it's not R2B, it's Sweet R2B. My goodness me. What has happened there? He went flying off, then did extraordinary then. I'm not quite sure what is going on then. Maranov's lost the place, then Gordo's up into P4. Gordo is pushing his way through then, and Maranov and Mumford are battling side by side as well here, then heading through into Sector 2 now. Mr. Elite then has passed Jinner for P12 as well here. Goodness me, an epic start. It's a chaotic start, let's just say the least, to be fair. Mumford, sorry, not Mumford, then Sweet P then trying to get himself back underway, then Composure then for the Alpine, then he's trying to get himself back in the fight then, and to be fair then with the bunched up queue, then he could get himself back in the fight quite quickly indeed. Then he's already 7 seconds behind, but that gap is coming back down very quickly indeed as well. Then heading through the final couple of corners, then Nameless leads the way then. He has stayed in pole position then from the lead of the Grand Prix then on the last lap, heading on to the final corner then to start off lap 2 here. I should not have mentioned Williams, says Mushroom then, as Nameless then sets the fastest lap of the race on the first lap, then Muta then right behind, Kiki right behind as well, then Gordo then up into P4, then brilliant stuff indeed from him. Mumford then holding station in P5, then he's behind his champion, his constructor's rival then of Gordo, then as Kamara then enters the pits then to serve his drive-through pedal, then Nigel up into P9, he's into the points page, which is up 6 places now for Nigel. Brilliant stuff indeed from the Kick Sauber driver then. Kamara then serving his drive-through penalty, I believe, then yes, he is serving that penalty now as well. Then into the pits then comes the Williams driver, then unfortunately then not quite sure what happened then on that start then, but he got a bit eager then, didn't he? And those start lights were not out before he went and here comes Mr. Elite, and he's going, and I'm not sure what I'm doing, to be fair. But there we are then into his P12 then. Reflection holds on to P11, then Vessia up into the top 10 just about then as we go through then into Sector 2 then for the second time then. And like I said, I think of a bit of an eventful start, let's just put it that way then, for an Alpine then and the Williams then. Jump start then for Kamara Racer then, that's what he's just served his drive-through penalty then, but not sure what happened to Sweet P then. He went flying off the circuit at turn 3 then, and well, I'm not quite sure if he forgot to brake then or if there was a helping hand, as Maranov has passed Mumford then into the penultimate corner then. That's a bit of an odd place to overtake then. Maybe Mumford had a bit of a squiggle then out of the Sector 3, well not chicanes, but Sector 3 flowing right-handers, I should say. Nameless once again sets the fastest lap of the race, then DRS now available then for Muta, then and for Kiki, then they're trying to break away from Gordo, then they've got a 1.7 second gap. Maranov up into P4 into turn 1, then here comes Mumford as well then. No, not quite, then Mumford stays behind for the time being. Mr. Lee's past Reflection, then up into, oh dear, there's going to be side-by-side through turn 2 then, is it? Oh dear, it's going to be very side-by-side through turn 2 for sure between these two as well, then heading through into turn 3 now. Reflection's got the inside, he's got the move back into P11. Good stuff indeed then, but they've lost a lot of time then. Can they keep up with Vessia, and can they stay within that DRS then of the Ferrari car, then heading through into Sector 2 now as we head into the hairpin of Sector 2. Then Nigel's done a good job, then up 6 places, then he's on the charge then is Nigel, then Tory J. Hings, then Mumford then staying, he's down to P6 I should say, then Gordo's down to P5 as we've got Maranov up into P4 here in the Haas. Then he's got himself past Gordo, then down towards turn 1 then with the aid of some DRS. Then can he catch the pack ahead? Can he catch those top 3 then who are scampering off into the distance? 1.3 the gap then between that Haas in the background and that Mercedes right here in the shot. Then that's Kiki then flying through Sector 2. There's all sorts of lag going on then as well, then fantastic stuff indeed. And it doesn't seem like the Codemasters are up to the challenge then tonight then, but there we are. Heading through then the penultimate corner then to 1.2 seconds the gap. Unfortunately for Morano, it's not close enough. Then Lewis Riley picks up the first penalty then, or the first on-track penalty I should say of the evening then, with Kamara Racer serving his drive-through penalty then and trying to get himself back underway I should say. Lewis Riley then down to P17. Unfortunately he's lost 3 places somewhere, trying to get himself back in the fight. Then R2B as well has lost out to the DRS. Then into the lead goes Muta, then up into P1 into turn 1 then, and we've got Mumford passing Gordo for P5 as well here then, as Jenna picks up another penalty as well. Then goodness me, there's all sorts of action going on as well. Mr. MHD has passed Reflection and Jinner, and now the Racing Bulls are battling side by side. Then there's contact between Farf and Jinner. Then there's no love lost indeed. Then it seems between the two teammates tonight, that is. But Farf then gets himself passed into P14 I should say. Goodness me. Now it's the rolls of the McLarens then. Will the McLaren switch places then? Mr. Elite is lost out to the DRS of the top 10. and maybe MHD could get himself past then and try and pull his teammate and the rest of the field along with him as well then into Sector 2. We go then lap 4 then of 29. We're flying through in the first few laps of this stint as well. Then Sweet Repeat's actually doing a good job of trying to catch up to the pack here as well. Then he is only 4 seconds behind now after starting over 8 seconds at one point when he went off that track then at turn 3 on the first lap then. So he is eking that time back in as well now is Sweet Repeat. Then hopefully he can get himself some points potentially still in this race. It is not all done and dusted as yet then for the Alpine driver. Then we'll have to wait and see. But of course we will have to wait and see exactly what's going to go on then as we go through into lap 5 very shortly. Then here comes Nameless, here comes Kiki. Moranov has caught up, then Mumford is up into P5 and is within DRS, and so the train has closed up again then to the race leaders as here comes Nameless then back for the race lead. Kiki then going to go for a double overtake. Is he into turn 1? No. Oh, he's thinking about it, but he's not going for it. Then he stays P2 and Nameless then retakes the lead then after starting on pole position as well then. So good stuff indeed then as the front row has regained their composure, regained their form then, and back up into the same order that they were at the start of the race then. Good stuff. And Mushroom has done a commentator's curse or a commenter's curse in the comment section there, so that's a good stuff. Indeed, as Kamara Racer has retired then in the pit lane. He is done and dusted then after jumping the start. Then he has called it a day then in the pits and got himself a pit and quit to his name as well here tonight then. Fantastic. And only on lap 5 as well then, so it could have been, well, we don't know what could have been then for Kamara Racer then because he's given up then at the start of the race. But nonetheless then, that is why you do not jump the start in a nutshell really, because it really does hurt your race at the start of the Grand Prix, especially when there is, especially when there's a long way to go still, and you don't want to soldier it out then because you never know what could happen in league racing and in Grand Prix racing as a whole then in F1, because there could be safety cars, there could be all sorts of things that come out in the next few laps or so, we never know. And especially around here then as Muta then is trying to hold off Moranov then. Mumford has dropped out of the DRS range unfortunately then for the top 4, then that could be costly, then could open the door for Jay Hings who's up into P6. He's past his teammate Gordo now. Gordo seems to be struggling I think maybe a bit on those hard compound tyres. We'll have to switch onto the tyre situation to see what's going on then as Nameless has lost out to Kiki. Kiki takes the lead of the Qatar Grand Prix. We're in the same sort of ballpark of the area in the world, but not quite Singapore. Yeah, he takes the lead of the Qatar Grand Prix, then does Kiki, then good stuff indeed. Then Reflections past Mr. Elite, then up into P12 then for the Williams driver, sorry, passing the McLaren, then up into P12 down to P13 for Mr. Elite. So far so good then as we go through then into Sector 2 once again then for the top of the order then as we head into lap 6 now, and it is well, we have to wait to see when the pit stop phases will start to happen. We did see some early stops then in the gold race last night. Then Far from Mr. Elite are battling as well. Then Far from Mr. Elite then through the hairpin, and Mr. Elite then has held on to the place then just about then, goodness me, and the battling then is not going to help either the driver, to be fair, as we go through into this tight complex end of Sector 2, and Mr. Elite has lost out, although he's not lost out just yet, then he's still within that 1 second window then of Reflection. Reflection then is a bit further along then, further back then from MHD then, who's got himself into the ballpark then with the top 10. Here has MHD then, good stuff indeed then. Mr. Elite is lost out then now to Reflection as well then. Favre is trying to push his way through in Sector 3 then, which is not a traditional overtaking place then unfortunately for Favre then, because it's oh dear, as Mr. Elite's gone wide, he's picked up a penalty for his troubles as well then, and that is going to be very costly indeed. Then he's lost out to the DRS, then he's going to be under pressure from Favre as well then. Nigel then is trying to put the pressure on Tory then for P8 here as well, then heading down the main straight, then he's up into P8 now. Jay Hings has passed Mumford then for P5. The Aston Martin's on a charge then as it stands in. Moranov and Muta, then there's contact, there's all sorts of issues somewhere. What's going on there then is Nameless, and what's happening then? Muta's off the circuit then as Kiki then has gone off as well then. I think Muta's dropping down the field, then he's had an issue somewhere, then he's got himself back underway. I think he's behind Mumford now, but Muta's had an issue somewhere then. I think Kiki then, Nameless almost went off there as well then. I think Nameless has got wing damage then, that front end plate missing, I think, from the kick sour then. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but that could be well, that could be very detrimental indeed then, especially for Nameless then, who's lost that extra downforce then through Sector 2, especially then in that kick sour then. That is going to be a big problem then. I'm not quite sure what happened then. Muta was involved, I'm pretty sure, because he lost out quite a few places to it. But Mumford seems to be all right then. Jay Hings, I think. Oh, Jay Hings has had contact with Moranov then. Moranov's off the circuit as well then. Goodness me, what is going on here? And Jay Hings then has just gone into the side then of the Haas, I think. There's all sorts of action then, or incident then on that part of the lap then, as Jay Hings then is trying to recover the car then. Moranov then has had an issue. He's lost wing as well then, has Moranov then. Goodness me. And there's all sorts of connection issues, I think, out there. I think it might be the lobby, to be honest, because I'm really not quite sure what's going on here, but it is definitely not characteristic then of Silver. Then Sweden, who's up into P17. No, he's passed someone. That's good stuff. Moranov is in the pit lane. Then Kiki's taken the lead back from Nameless. And Vessia as up into P6, passing Nigel. Then goodness me, what has gone on there? That was absolutely chaotic. Tori and MHD then battling away into turn 1. Then MHD has got himself through and up into P8. Then Mr. Elite is up into P11. Then then Sweden P. Then into the pits comes Jay Hings as well. Then Jay Hings has got wing damage. Both end plates are missing for Jay Hings, and I'm not quite sure what has happened then. There was no penalties dished out there at all, but I think there might have been some sort of it seems like Emiranov is having a few connection issues out there, which is probably yes, not good. I think he did have an issue then at the start of the gold race last night as well then, but it seemed to be all right then after that then. But as Kamara Racer was left the session, then I'm sure he was he probably hanging on then, hoping that there wasn't a safety car for that because I don't think he wanted to be involved in that at all, did he? Because I don't think Kamara Racer would have been very happy with himself having to pit and quit then on lap 3 or 4, and then safety car come out on lap 8. Then that would probably be not the best then for Kamara Racer, but he has decided to not watch anymore then, unfortunately, as well. I'm not ignoring Kiki, just avoiding cursing him, says Mushroom, and damn it, he says as well then. I'm not quite... Oh my god! What is happening there? I don't think he even made contact then. I think he just ghosted through him then. Muta then, I think it might have been Muta that caused the lobby issue in that case, if that's the issue. Because the connection seems to be... problematic, let's just put it that way then, it seems, because I'm not sure if Muta's actually in the car even as well, or whether there's some more issues going on as Nigel then and MHD are battling through turn 1 and 2, and round the outside goes the kick salver. Then Nigel's got a penalty, then going wide, then into turn 2, and now into turn 3. MHD's up into P6, then he's got the place, then into turn 4, then he's past the kick salver then for P6. And now away he goes then for the next part of the race as well. Then MHD then doing a good job then. Juno's got another 3 second vote then added on to his time then for his troubles as well. But I'm not sure if Musa can actually see if other drivers are around him then, which is problematic. We did see that a very long time ago in esports actually, when the top drivers of F1 on the game, that is, didn't even notice where other drivers were on the track then, and I think that might be something similar. Maybe Codemasters have cooked that up again as well then, which is fantastic stuff indeed. But it seems to be some sort of connection issues then for some of the lobby at least, if not all the lobby to be honest. But that is what you get then when Codemasters are in charge of doing your patches. Nameless then has unfortunately lost out to Kiki then. Of course, Kiki then doesn't have any wing damage then from whatever happened into turn 1 or turn 2, whichever one it was. But Nameless is diving into the pit lane now to call it a day on those medium compound tyres, potentially get a front wing change sorted for that car as well. Then Muta then is in P3 then, but again I'm not quite sure if he knows where he is or if anybody else knows where he is. And there's contact with Mumford then, and he's gone wide now as Mumford as well. Now could open the door for Gordo, and Gordo then has slotted back into P4 then. Unfortunately for Gordon, then he couldn't get himself past them. Mr. Elite and Archie beat a battle away. Then Mr. Elite up into P11 now. And parts in the Ferrari as well, and good stuff indeed. Nameless then is on to a new set of hard compound tyres. Have they fixed that front wing is the question though. RTB's got a penalty, and Mr. Elite and RTB are back through. Then goodness me, what's going on there between the Ferrari and the what is it? It's the McLaren, sorry. And yes, my God. But RTB then is all over the back then of Mr. Elite then after being passed down the main straight. Then Nameless then is out of the pit lane. But have they changed that front wing then for the? Yes, he has changed the front wing. Good stuff indeed. Will have cost him a bit of time in that pit stop phase then, but he's now back underway. Then Moranov and Jay Hings back underway as well. And yeah, it seems like there's some sort of a lobby issue out there in terms of the connectivity, I think. Unfortunately then with Moranov then, who had that issue then with Jay Hings earlier on in the 2 laps ago now. We're flying through this race to be fair, so it's gone quickly. Now let's have a look and see if anybody else will come into the pit lane from the race leaders. Then Kiki then looks to be staying out for the time being. Then he is staying out, then so is Muta, then so is Mumford. Into the pits comes MHD then from P5, then slowing the car down. Vessia as well then on the brakes as we get themselves into the pits. And Nigel follows the Ferrari in as well. Then Mumford up into P2, sorry, and Gordo's gone through as well then for P3, and Muta then trying to get back then, but unfortunately he has got the pace and on those medium compound tyres compared to Gordo's hard compound tyres now that will be much more phased in, much more up to temperature then, and of course a less tyre wear then, which is more important for Gordo as well then compared to the medium runners at this stage of the race, of course that is, but that could change. It probably will change as well then, because that's natural for tyre wear then, isn't it? But heading through sector 2 now as well, the lap 11, we're speeding through then as we go through onto the into the mid part of the Grand Prix now, the middle sector of the Grand Prix I should say, as we've done the first 10 laps. We've got the next 10 laps then and the final 10 laps to come as well here. 300p is back up into P11 now. Brilliant stuff indeed then. He's done a good job then as a soldier. Of course there has been some pit stops behind him, but he's getting himself with some good pace then back into this race potentially here. Lewis Riley then all over the back of him into P11. Of course these two had their issues. Oh goodness me, I thought he went very wide then into that left-hander there with 300p, but he's got himself sorted then. Of course these two had their issues, not individually I should say, they had their issues, not together, but they had their issues at the beginning of the race then, trying to get themselves recovered then in this Grand Prix as well here. But there we are then. Nameless has come out behind Vessia then, so Vessia then with a good undercut then by only one lap as well. Sorry, Nameless has had the undercut then already, I should say, goodness me, but it hasn't worked out then with Vessia then. Gino is under the pits then, so is R2 so is, sorry, Reflections in the pits, so is R2 so is Mr. Elite. There we go then, that is that sorted then. A bit of a tongue twister there for you as well. Gordo up into P2 now then on the hard compound tyres. Can he reel in Kiki then in this lap as well? Then in the next couple of laps then we'll have to wait and see then where do the rest of the field come out of the pit lane is the question then. MHD going to go past here in the McLaren. And now here comes Vessia and Nameless as well, then heading down the main straight then. Nameless ahead now of Vessia then as we go into the first turn then, and there are the pit stoppers. Reflection out behind Nigel, then R2B into P15, Mr. Elite P16 for him. Moranov then and Jay Hings then trying to catch up then in this race as well then, but after that first lap incident, I'm not quite sure, well not first lap incident, lap 8 incident I should say, not quite sure they're going to be able to do that then at this stage of the race unless there's a safety car or something that comes out in their favour. But there we are then, lap 12 then of 29 then. So far so good then for the majority as we head into the middle part of the race then. Farf and Tory then battling through sector 3. It's just not an overtaking place really, is it? But they've gone for it nonetheless then, to be fair. So that is that then. Farf then has relinquished the lead, or relinquished the DRS then to Tory. Tory might be able to go for a move then down the main straight into the lead, into the pit, sorry, comes the race leader then. Kiki then calling it a day then on the medium compound tyres. Gordo takes the lead now, of course, on the hard compound. Mumford also in then, as is Mutter as well then in the Red Bull. So we'll wait and see then where they're going to come out in this order as well then. Good stuff in the chicken soup thingy. Got Gordo going, says Mushroom as well. The chicken soup thingy is looking pretty good so far. Good stuff. Right then, Kiki, where is he going to come out then? Sweet repeat, then Lewis Riley go through, then Kiki coming down the pit straight now. Well, Nigel's got a 3-second penalty then. Kiki could be out in the lead here. Yes, he is. He's going to be out in the lead then. Brilliant stuff indeed. Then Mumford then is going to try and filter out into P2, is he? No, round the outside goes MHD. There's contact there. And MHD then not yielding then too much to the Alpine then, I don't think. But my God, then as Mumford then into net, I think it's a net P3, isn't it then? Net P3 then for Mumford then, that's not too shabby. Then of course Kiki then has pitted ahead of him, that they are 2 seconds or so ahead then of MHD. Then MHD now is in a net P2 I would imagine, as we go through then in this next part of the stint. So MHD's done a pretty good job then on the undercut there, and Mumford then up into net P2 actually as well with MHD's penalties as it stands. Moved to then P4 as it stands as well then with the penalties as well. Then he is currently under pressure then from Nameless then and from Vessia as well then in the next few moments or so then. But Nameless is actually, with that wing change as well, has actually done a very good job then of bringing that, reducing the gap then, reducing the undercut then as well. And very good stuff indeed from Nameless then with the wing change in that stop as well. Then he's only 1.6 seconds behind the podium places. So far so good then, as we crack on then. Lap 14 of 29 then. Gordo yet to pit then. Same for Farf, same for Tory then, same for Jenna then, same for Lewis Riley. But into the pits comes Sweet NJP then. He's calling it a day now on his medium compound tyres, and will come out I think behind Maranov just about then. So we'll have to wait and see then where he does actually filter out exactly. But there's still stoppers still to come then in this race. And yeah, unfortunately for Sweet NJP, he's just trying to recover in this Grand Prix as well then at this stage then, as Mutter has passed Mumford then. Has he? No, he hasn't, because Mumford's fighting back then into turn 2, and he stays P8 then for the time being. Then Mutter then couldn't get himself past then. MHD is closing in then Kiki as we go through into turn 4 now, into turn 5 as well. Then Sweet NJP coming out of the pit, they will be behind Jay Hings, but of course now on a fresh set of tyres as well. Jay Hings picks up a penalty then going through into turn 1. Unfortunately for Jay Hings then, it's not going too well at this stage of the race then for the Aston Martin driver then. Contact then, I think it was with Moranov as well then, unfortunately. What in the world? Favre's got no pens, says Ginger Agent. There we go then. Or Favre's got pad hacks, says Ginger Edge. So unfortunately, where is Favre then? Where is he? I can't see where he is. He's up the side, up top of the order. Goodness me, I couldn't see him that far up the order there. I got scared of looking that high up for Favre. Usually he's not that far up then, but there we are then. He of course is yet to pit in this race then. There's all sorts of connection issues there. Tory then is calling it a day, I think, on the medium compound tyres. He's slowing it down. He's got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. My goodness me. That is bad news indeed then for the Mercedes reserve. Then unfortunately that's going to be added to his race time, unless he does do another stop, that is. It will be added to his race time at the end of the Grand Prix. Lewis Riley then soldiering on, then P4 for him. Then Mumford sets the fastest lap of the race. Then he's trying to chase down MHD, who's now almost onto the back end of Kiki as well, going through into turn 1 here. And where is Tori going to come out of the order? Then it's going to be close between himself then and the Ferraris then of R2 Beat and Mr. Elite. And try saying those two names quickly in the order as well then. But R2B has got himself past then into P13. Then Tory comes out in P15 then on a new set of hard compound tyres, and away he goes. So there we go then. Unfortunately for Sweet then, and Jay Hings then still trying to recover in this race. So I'm not quite sure how Sweet come out that far behind, to be honest, because I thought he was going to be looking pretty good then in terms of getting himself back into this race as well then. But to be fair, he's on 1 lap old tyres, then he could have an advantage towards the end of the Grand Prix on quite a few drivers ahead of him, and he has no penalties as it stands. I've now probably cursed that, but nonetheless, that is the situation. But there we go then. Let me see what Gordo's going to be up to. And then Gordo heading through the final corner now to finish off lap 15. He stays out again, then does Gordo. So we cruise on to lap 16 now, 7.5 seconds back to Favre. Then Favre stays out as well then, 2 seconds to his teammate Jinder. Then both these two on the hard compound tyres then on to lap 16, staying out at this stage as well. Then Lewis Riley then going through the final quarter has now been caught by Kiki, and Kiki is the net race leader as it stands as well. But he's got MHD, he's got Mumford, he's got Muta, and he's almost got Nameless as well then for company though. Here comes Kiki then trying to get himself up into P4. Then he's past Lewis Riley then in towards turn 1. Of course he needs to get himself past Lewis Riley then to be able to maximise the gap then and maximise the pace. Then now can he try and scamper away then from the Red Bull then, and of course more importantly the McLaren, the Alpine, and the Red Bull behind. The other Red Bull behind, this means too. But there we go, the Mistral and R2B, sorry, carrying on their battle then, heading into turn 1 and 2 then. Lewis Riley has been passed by MHD, has he? Yes, he has. Goodness me, that's an unconventional place as well then, but he's got himself through, and now here comes Mumford round the outside then, and Muta is almost into the back of his teammate then, my goodness me. And of course Lewis has yet to pit then in this race then. He's now trying to get himself out of the way then of his teammate. Yes, he has done, and my goodness me, that was close indeed. It looked like it was going to be almost chaos there as well then. 9 seconds between Kiki and the podium places, and of course then, but Jinder then is yet to pit. The top 3 yet to pit, and then Lewis Riley as well yet to pit in this Grand Prix as well. Jinder has left the session then, so Jinder's had some sort of technical difficulties as well then, my goodness me, and he can't get him, hopefully he can get himself back in the car, I should say there, but he has left the session. Unfortunately he's a ghost car now. That will be losing him a lot of time to the rest of the field behind him as well. 2 more pens and silver wins, says Mushroom then. Don't worry, Bronze, we'll smash that, says Serious Mushroom as well then. I think in terms of the penalty situations then for the drivers then, like I said, it is a very penalty friendly track, this track is, as we go through onto lap 17 then. The top 3 yet to pit still as we crack on then. Whereas Lewis Riley then, Lewis Riley stays out as well then. Goodness me, Sweden who picks up a penalty then. I have cursed him, I'm very sorry then indeed as well. And Vess and Nigel then switching places then for P10, and Vess into the top 10 now, into the points paying positions. Moranov then and Tori then switching places as well, then up into P15 for Moranov. Muta picked up a 3-second penalty, then going through into sector 2. Nope, he's still in sector 1 then, goodness me. But heading through turn 3, I think that was then for the Red Bull driver, I should say. So Mumford then now into the hairpin in the sector 2. Then can he put some pressure on MHD? Kiki's now under pressure from the MHD then, and from Mumford and from Muta, heading through sector 2 then. And of course Kiki then is now 3 seconds away from Jinder then. He is catching quite quickly of course, but Jinder's not in the car then, which is the problem. So hopefully he can get himself back in then in the next few moments or so then, but he's losing a bit of time then at this stage compared to the those who are still in the session, I should say. Reflection picks up a penalty as well then. Reflection P12 at the moment then, but battling away then for the final points paying positions potentially then in the latter stages of this Grand Prix as it stands. Race leaders staying out once again then. Gordo then stays out into lap 18, I should say then, on the hard compound tyres then. Tori has retired. That could be a safety car. No, it's not a safety car because he's retired on track then. Well, unfortunately, that's not going to be good news for Tori then getting full-time seat if you're going to be doing that sort of thing. But he has just retired on the circuit and then driven off the circuit as well there. So there he is somewhere over there. Can't quite tell where he is because the car's going too fast. But Tori's given up then in this race, and that's him out of the race as well. Then 2 retirements then, but no yellow flag, no safety cars just yet then. And Lewis Riley then has chosen the opportunity now to pit to the medium compound tyres. Good stuff indeed. MHD and Kiki gone through. Then where is Ginner? Then Ginner, of course, is a ghost car still, but he's not been able to get himself back in the session, I don't think, unless he seems to be lagging about a bit. So there we go. I'm not quite sure how he's lagging if he's a ghost car anyway. Lewis Riley comes out of the pit lane then on the medium compound tyres, but he's down in P17. He's going to have to do a lot of catching up to do in this final stint then, but he's got the freshest tyres then on the field and the quickest tyres compared to the hard compound tyres that are on the 16 drivers ahead of him as well then. So let's see what we can do then. Away he goes, and now this is his time to put the hammer down then and get himself sprinting after the rest of the field as well here. I almost had a pen as is one word. Oh, right. Okay, there we are then. Nameless has passed Ginner, then Gordo into the pits then from the race lead. Then he has decided to call it a day now on the hard compound tyres. Finally now, 18 laps then on the hard compound tyres. Farf also in as well then. Kiki then is going to resume the lead of the Grand Prix, I believe. But he's got Nameless, he's got he's got Mumford, he's got a very wobbly Muta then out of the final corner then. Gordo then onto the medium compound tyres. Then where will he filter out? Then he will be behind Ginner's ghost car, I think. He's going to be very close indeed. Then with that kick Sauber, then it's going to be close indeed. Then with that kick Sauber, there is Gordo. Then coming out ahead. No, he's behind Nigel. Then heading through turn 1. Then it's always side by side heading through turn 1 there. And he's come out right in this sandwich now as well. Then on the medium compound tyre, then he needs to get himself past Nigel quickly and get himself up the road as quickly as possible as well, I would imagine. But we'll have to wait and see if he can do that is the other question. Now into turn 4, here we go then for the Aston Martin, then flying through the first sector then on those fresh medium compound tyres. Of course, he's going to gain a place then on Ginner then, who's a ghost car then, so they're both going to go through that car. Oh dear, they're not, no, because Gordo's gone in the back of him. I'm not quite sure if Nigel just got panicked by that ghost car or something for some reason. But Nigel is struggling for some reason out there as well then, on the, trying to get himself past the ghost car there, which has unsettled Gordo as well then. I don't know if there's damage then for either car then, but they seem to be just about all right then. Hopefully they can just sort out their differences and get themselves sorted as well then, and move up the field. Then goes Gordo then. He's got the inside then into the next right-hander then into sector 3 then. He's up into P6 now. My God, that was dangerous stuff indeed. It all stemmed, I think, from Nigel then having a bit of a problem with the ghost car there, but they've got themselves sorted at least, and away goes Gordon. And can he hold on to that place is the question now. There's going to be DRS available then for Nigel, then heading down the main straight onto lap 20, and there we go then. Unfortunately for Ginner then, he's just tumbling down the order then. He can't get himself back in the session here, or hopefully he can. Then we'll have to wait and see. Then MHD's taken the lead then, but now Kiki then is into P2. He's right behind the McLaren as well here. Then Mr. Elite has gone past. Then Ginner is having a few issues. Then Maranov has been passed by Farf on the medium compound tyres, of course then, so Farf looking to go quick then in this final stint. Then same as Gordo, same as Lewis Riley as well here. We'll have to wait and see then if that's going to be the case. Then we'll have to find out then in the next few laps or so. Then there's only 9 laps to go then at the end of this one, and everyone in the lobby seems okay, says Mushroom. Mark Smith has, Ginner has said lobby messed up. Then no, the lobby's all fine then, says sorry to Ginner, that is. If you can get yourself back in the session, then you will be able to get yourself back in the car, but unfortunately your car has dropped itself down to P19 and has yet to pit as well here, so it is yeah, unfortunate. It's a bit of a shame that you couldn't get yourself back in the session quickly enough, or haven't done. You've got yourself back in the session, unfortunately, as quickly as possible. Then, because that is always a bit of a problem, isn't it? Trying to get yourself back in the lobby. Then I know it's happened to me on experience, and actually it happened to me. I think it was on F1 2020 in Vietnam, of all places. And I seem to remember then having a lovely blue screen and trying to get myself back in the lobby, then, and also not being able to take the race start or something like that. It was very, very complicated, but. Absolutely delightful as well. Fantastic stuff indeed from Cody's, making sure that everything is absolutely brilliant then on the release of a new game. But there we are then. Vietnam was fantastic as well, by the way. If you haven't played that track on F1 2020, then unfortunately you're not cultured enough then to be an F1 fan, that is. But I do take that back. But yes, it was an absolutely fantastic track indeed. Then Vettia passes Nigel then for P7. And there we go then. Right, just because you're blacklisted from Vietnam's, Alex says, says Ginger Age. I think I probably am now, to be fair, but yes. I think I was one of the first people ever. Oh my god, then Nigel's just driven into the back of Vessia. And what was that then from Nigel? That was definitely not an overtaking, not an overtake, literally. And he went right into the back of the Ferrari. Then that has been very costly for both Ferraris, both Nigel as well. Then and this pack here of Williams Racing Bull and Mr. Elite. Or McLaren, sorry. Oh my god, then. Favre didn't go around the outside then of Reflection. Then I think he's got himself through then on the medium compound tyres to P10. Yes, Nigel then I think getting that very wrong indeed. Then is down to P9, then losing out to Vessi, and then Vessi's dropped down behind his teammate as well here. But my god, then that was dodgy stuff indeed. Then Kiki then is holding on then to the race lead now of MHD. Then can he go for a move then for the race lead into lap 22? Then into turn 1. Then yes, he can. Then he's got the inside. He's moved up into P1. Then is Kiki. Brilliant stuff indeed then from Kiki as well then. F1 2020 was peak, then says Ginger Agent. I still have flashbacks from Nam, says Mushroom as well. Then my goodness me, well, I feel very sorry for you then. So there we are. But no, flashbacks from 2020 Nam was not too bad. Mr. Elite then up into P11, then passing Reflection. Then they're in a bit of a battle now for the brink of the top 10. Then can they get themselves into the situation then with that top 10 finish? Then we'll have a look at the penalty situation then in the next few minutes, because that's going to determine a few movers and shakers in the final order then of this classification, I'm pretty sure. But so far so good then in the lead. Then Kiki then leads the way, then MHD P2, Muta then doing a good job in P3 then for the time being. Mumford P4, Nameless then is 4 seconds behind. The Nameless has done a wing change and now still soldiering on then, so potentially could get himself into the podium places still if the penalties from MHD and Muta then are starting to rack up. Then Gordo then currently P6 on the fresh medium compound tyres, trying to reel in the kick Sauber, then 3 seconds behind both the Ferraris. Then we've got a bit of a Ferrari and a Racing Bull battle then, as Favre then splits the pair then into sector 3. And Favre then up into P8 now for the time being. Vessi then down to P9, then Nigel P10. He's got Mr. Elite, then Reflection and Moranov then all breathing down his neck for that final points paying position as it stands then. But we'll have a look now at the penalty situation as MHD takes back the lead into turn 1, and Muta's going to go down the inside here as well. Then goodness me, there's contact I think between the Mercedes and the Red Bull heading into turn 2, and oh dear, I think he's just slotted in behind. Then he knows that the penalty situation then is too much for those two ahead of him. He doesn't need to worry about it too much as well then. As Mr. Elite's past Nigel then down the main straight in towards turn 1. Nigel's coming back at him though, but they're still fighting tooth and nail. Looks like, goodness me, where are they? Fighting tooth and nail, then round into turn 2. Then here we go, and Nigel then has got himself through. Then he stays P10 for the time being. I believe he has just about got the move done. Goodness me, Mr. Elite looking for a shaping move then into turn 4. Then not quite, and Favre now all over the back then of R2 Beat then for that P7 position. Then this battle then stems all the way from P7 down to P13 as it stands. And so far it's clean enough. Right then, 3 seconds for MHD, then 6 seconds for Muta, then in P2. So those two will drop down the order. Then they will drop behind Geeky. They will drop behind Mumford. They might, or in Muta's case, might drop behind Nameless as well. Then we'll have to wait and see. Then Gordo in P6 then could get himself a few places if he can get that spurt on. Then on those medium compound tyres, Muta picks up another penalty. That's 9 seconds for him. Then unfortunately that is going to demote him down behind Gordo even at this stage as it stands as well. Then Favre could get himself in contention then with that penalty then for Muta as well. Then 3 seconds for the Ferraris, then 6 seconds for Nigel then in the kick. Mr. Elite's got 6 seconds as well. Then Reflection is 9 seconds now for Nigel. Then goodness me, there's all sorts of moving and shaking going on as well. Kiki then back past Muta, takes the lead of the Grand Prix, then heading into turn 1 and 2. Then around the outside goes the Mercedes. Then can he hold it is the question. Can MHD then let him go through? Then it's going to be tight indeed into turn 3. There's also contact with the Red Bull, I think, almost as we go into, oh my goodness me, into turn 4 then, and Muta slots into P2. And once again, they just normal services resumed then, to be fair, because they haven't changed anything after all of that battling, and the order has stayed the same. Right then, where was the rest of the issues then? 9 seconds for Nigel, then 6 seconds for Mr. Elite, then Moranov then into P12, then Reflection 3 seconds, as has Sweet as well, then 3 for Jay Hings, 15 for Lewis Riley, then he's past Jenner, who's got 12 seconds, but unfortunately Jenner is not in the car, so that is the issue for Jenner then as it stands as well then. We have got 5 laps remaining at the end of this one then. Where is the race leader is the question. As we go through then into sector 3 then for the 24th time then. Flown through this Grand Prix, to be fair. We've done a fantastic job then for Silver. Absolutely brilliant stuff indeed to commentate on as well. Then it's been absolutely action-packed indeed as well. Then heading through into the penultimate corner, then onto lap 25 very shortly. Then 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 to go. 29. That's number of laps. That is not that's lap numbers rather than number of laps, I should say. Goodness me. Here we are then onto the main straight once again. Then here comes Kiki then on the attack. Then can he get himself past the Red Bull? Yes, he can. Can he go around the outside of MHD for the race lead? And is he go? Yes, he's going for it. He's going for it. He's got the move. Then he's done two of them into one, and he's up into P1 as well. Then for Kiki, then brilliant stuff indeed. Then Lewis Riley picks up another penalty. Unfortunately for Lewis Riley, then struggling out there on this circuit. It seems then for the Red Bull driver, unfortunately. Farf and R2B once again battling then into turn 1, then Farf round the outside into P7. Driver of the day candidates are out in the comment section. Then Kiki, Farf, Mumford and R2B are your candidates then for driver of the day. We'll have a look. Have a look at the position changes as well then. MHD has got 17 places, but unfortunately as a reserve then can't be candidate for driver of the day. So Kiki then has gained a place then and is holding on to the race lead as it stands as well. Then Mumford up 1 place as well, but could get another 2 places with the penalties then for Muta and for MHD then in the final stages when they cross the line. And so that's good stuff indeed. Who is next then? We've got R2B then and Farf. Farf has gained 11 places, then could be potentially gain another more place as well if he can get within Muta's 9 seconds in the next few laps or so. Then R2B's gained 8 places as well. Then of course with the penalty situation, I think we'll hold on to that situation as well. Yes, he's only got 3 seconds, so yes, R2B could be in line to get himself some good points here from P16, I think it was on the grid or something like that, or 15, whatever it was. Yes, P16 on the grid then from R2B. So far so good. Then Morano picked up a penalty as well. Then my God, penalties are rolling in here. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and Kiki has lost the lead. Then 5 drivers without any penalties as it stands. Then as we head into lap 26, then there is 4 laps remaining. Then 26, 27, 28, 29 as we head through turns 2 and 3 now on lap 26 here. So far so good then, brilliant stuff indeed. Then we're running through this race quickly indeed as well. Then Vess here up into P8, then passing his teammate then into turn 1, and Nigel then waiting in the wings then as well. Then Nigel might be looking to sneak his way past. Oh dear, he's not had a good time there. He's into the back, I think, on the R2B, on the Ferrari I should say then. And now into turn 4 then Mr. Lee again looking for a move then into turn 4, but not quite close enough then to make that move as we head into the long right-handers then of sector 1, then into the hairpin now of sector 2. And yes, so far status quo. Then Nigel's not having a good time on the traction though for sure. Then he's sliding that car all over the place then out of that corner, and now trying to get himself sorted then into sector 2. Oh my God, then there's contact between Maranov and Mystery. I think then Maranov has got himself past the McLaren then somehow, but I'm not quite sure if that was or he's trying to let him back through as well here. I think, thank goodness me, that's going to be close indeed, because they want to make sure they don't lose DRS then to Nigel. Now into sector 3 then, goodness me, and it's all over the place there. I think, unfortunately for Maranov, I don't think that connection is helping him, especially with those sort of incidents as well then. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not been a good lobby for connections tonight here, has it? Kiki then up into P1, then passing MHD, then Motor trying to go down the inside then of the McLaren as well, then into turn 2, side by side then, but MHD holds on to P2 for the time being. Kiki then back up into P1 here as well, heading through turn 3, lap 27, then 2 laps remaining at the end of this one. This one to go still as well then, 3 laps in total then, as we head through into turn 4 and 5 once again now. Maranov back past Mr. Elite then as we go through. Then they've lost a lot of time then as well. Then whatever's happened there into turn 1 and 2, then they have lost a lot of time then to the top 10, and that could be great news for Nigel then with the penalty situation then as well. Then we'll have to wait and see, but whatever happened then, I think maybe Mr. Elite then a bit too eager to battle then for that position, then could have let Maranov go then and maybe battled him at a later stage then in this race. And although we've only got a few laps, or only got 2 laps remaining at the end of this one, but yeah, fair play indeed. And Lewis Riley's got the fastest lap of the race, and fair play to Lewis Riley for soldiering on up there as well. Then he's gone for the fastest lap, and he's got the fastest lap, and that will be an extra point for himself and the team. Reflection has passed Mr. Elite, then Mr. Elite has dropped down behind Reflection here, and maybe he's got some sort of technical difficulties then as Mr. Elite, unfortunately, then he's lost out. Then Lewis Riley has passed Gino, but of course Gino not in the session, unfortunately, then he is out of the race. Gordo sets a, oh sorry, I thought Gordo set the fastest lap, then he's got a 3-second penalty instead, sorry Gordo. Lap 28, then the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, then the penultimate round of the season here in Silver Season 8. Then here comes MHD then down the inside at turn 1. Then has he got the move done? Yes, he has. Back into the race lead then for the McLaren. get your last minute votes in for driver of the day then. We'll have a quick look at the position changes again, and there we are then, as of course MHD are not involved in the candidacy for driver of the day. Then R2B has got himself past Vesser, then Vesser's lost out to Nigel into turn 1 as well, then heading through there at breakneck speed. Then was the kick sour, then he's got himself back up into P9. MHD Mr. Elite's in the pit lane. Mr. Elite going for the fastest lap of the race then, hopefully for Mr. Elite. Then he's not giving up, then he's going onto the soft compound tyres. My god, almost ran out of breath then. Good stuff. Penalty situation is as follows. That's the penalty situation there. So lots of penalties. But there we are. And that is the situation for Qatar. But now into sectors. My God, then I thought Mumford was going right into the back of that Red Bull then, but he just about slowed it down in time. Then Swinnerby then has got himself a 3-second bonus. So has Jay Hings as well then. I think they might be able to get themselves into the box then to go for a faster snap as well here. Lewis Riley is back in the pit lane again then, so he's going to go for another pit stop then, is Lewis Riley. That could be dangerous though, to be fair, because he doesn't want to get lapped then by the race leaders who are coming through the penultimate corner, or in the final corner now I should say. This could be very treacherous indeed for Lewis Riley then. He could be in danger then as we go through then onto the final lap then for the race leaders now. Here we go down the main straight then. Lewis Riley needs to get a move on then. Go Lewis, go, and he has got going. Good stuff indeed. Then Kiki takes the lead back into turn 1 then on the final lap of the Grand Prix, and now that could be, oh, I thought he went off the circuit then, but no, he's got himself sorted. That could be the crown then in the fight in this race, I should say. Goodness me, because he's on to the lead lap. There's no more DRS then for drivers around him. Then Mumford up into P3, rounding the outside of turn 4 and passing the Red Bull of Muta. And therefore into P3 then, of course, a net P2 with MHD's penalties as well then, so it's not looking too shabby then for Mumford as well then for another podium here in the Alpine. Get your last minute votes in for driver of the day then. It's been absolutely fantastic then. Kiki then from Kiki, we'll have a look at the position changes then. We'll see there's Kiki then has been battling for the race lead for the whole race pretty much as well. Then same for Mumford as well, trying to get himself back in the podium places. Brilliant stuff indeed. Farfus gained 11 places, so we're up to P7 then, and Reflection picked up another penalty as well for his troubles. Then R2B has gained 8 places as well, and will hold on to that place or those places as well, I would imagine as well, heading through into the final sector for the final time now. And here we go then. Jinner has been disqualified. Failure to use required tyre compounds. His ghost car didn't pit him then, which is very stupid indeed. But there we are then. Round up as past Reflection as well. Here comes Kiki then round the final corner then on the final lap of the penultimate race of the season. Kiki wins in Qatar. He has taken his another race win then for the Mercedes team. And what a race win indeed for Kiki. He had to work very hard for that one indeed as well then, but he's done it. He's got himself the top spot here in Qatar as well then. Fantastic stuff indeed from the Mercedes driver then. Absolutely brilliant stuff from Kiki then. He has taken a fantastic race win here tonight then. There he is coming through turn 2 as well then. There is the Mercedes driver then. P1 tonight then, after a fantastic battle then, race long battle then with MHD, with Mumford, with Muta as well then. Mumford does claim P2 then in the Alpine. Fantastic result then for Mumford as well. Brilliant battling then as well for Mumford into this in this final stint as well, especially on the hard compound tyres. MHD P3 in the end then with the penalty situation then. Fantastic result from MHD from the back of the grid as well, after not qualifying then, which was fair enough indeed then. Nameless then P4, Gordo P5, Muta P6 then with the penalties then. Favre P7, Archibald P8 then, Vessia P9, Nigel Rams off the top 10, Moranov then P11, Reflection P12 then, Sweetend P13 then, Fair Play to Sweetend P then, and Jay Hings as well then. Jay Hings P14 soldiering on in this race then. Mr. Elite then P15, and Lewis Riley will come home in P16. Unfortunately for Tory, Kamara Racer and Jinner then, they were out of this race then very early on then, and X-Gamer didn't wake up in time for the race as well, so he was P20. But here comes Lewis Riley then. Can he get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix? No, he can't, I don't think. So unfortunately, I think he missed out on that final lap there. But we'll have to run through the classification very quickly indeed as well. Wow, that was good. So, fantastic stuff indeed. Right then, get your last minute votes in for driver of the day then before the voting closes then. Go on, Kiki says Mushroom as well then. Come on, Kiki says Beast as well, of course supporting his teammate in the comment section. There he is on the top step of the podium then. Kiki wins in Qatar then. Fantastic stuff indeed then. Favre driver of the day then says Mushroom then. Not quite sure about that. There we are then. Tori had a pen as well. I'm counting, says Mushroom. Gordo could have got a podium, but Mushroom cursed him, said Ginger Rage then. Interesting stuff indeed. There we are then. Game glitched out. I was in the lobby with all, but not in the same one. Yeah, so you need to, in that situation, you need to leave the session and just rejoin it. Basically, it's happened before in league racing situations. But there we are. Then Kiki then crowned the winner here in Qatar. Then fantastic race indeed. Then from Kiki. Then Mumford in P2. Then a brilliant race from the Alpine driver as well. Then to round off, the podium. Sorry, is MHD. But to get themselves on the podium, both of those two drivers as well. Then of course, then Nameless then P4. Then Gordo P5. Ruta P6. Favre P7. Both the Ferraris in P8 and P9, then Nigel P10, Miranda P11, Reflection P12, Sweden P13, GHA Hing, P14, Mr. Elite P15. He got the fastest lap in the end there, good stuff indeed. Lewis Riley then P16, Tori, Kamara Racer, and Jinnah then retired from this Qatar Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff indeed. Then I don't know if anybody's actually joined us for. Oh, they have joined us. Good stuff indeed. They have joined us for interviews. Right then, we will crack on then with the interviews at this point in time. Then good stuff. Let me get myself sorted then, and we can start off then with we'll start on then with our race winner then potentially. Hopefully he's in it. Kiki, then are you with us?
Yeah.
And Kiki, then a fantastic battling race then that was in Qatar then tonight. Then I think you didn't put a foot wrong in the end there. And what was it like then? I think you had about 4 different drivers that you were fighting for the race lead and for the win as well in the final stint.
Yeah, it was madness, but I'm just so happy I've finally won silver. First win in silver. Took long enough. But that MHD guy is way too quick, man. From 19th to 3rd. Crazy, man.
And you got yourself through from the mediums to the hards then. Did you think that was the right strategy from the get-go, or were you a bit worried about that? Maybe that some drivers on the mediums might start to sneak through then in the latter stages of that stint?
No, medium to hard. I think it always works. Like, when they had people pitted to mediums, there were nowhere near us at the end, so wasn't too bothered about that. But obviously, congrats to Mumford and MHD for 2nd and 3rd.
And did you have anything you were going to be any tactics up your sleeve then for the final few laps then in that race then to try and shake off the attacks then from Mumford, from MHD, from Muta at the time as well? Then of course, did you have anything up your sleeve, or were you just hoping that you would take the lead on to the last lap then, and that was going to be the way to win the race?
I would just, if they were going to overtake me, I was going to like knock them off the track a bit. No, just stay behind MHD on the last lap. Well, second to last lap, get his DRS. And I was just trying not to make no mistakes. I had one warning, that was it. And I see Mumford had no penalties as well. So obviously congrats to that as well.
Brilliant stuff, and hopefully we'll see you in the final round of the season next week in Abu Dhabi then, and we'll crack on then to your title winning season next season as well then. So yeah, looking forward to that.
I hope so. Fucking hell. Make sure MHD's in gold though.
Yeah, all right, we'll see what we can do. Then, brilliant stuff indeed. Then, well done indeed. Then, Kiki, then a race winner here in silver then this season, and here in Qatar then in the penultimate Grand Prix. Then, fantastic stuff indeed. Then from Kiki, and Beast then did congratulate you in the comment section on YouTube as well. Then he did say well done to you as well, your teammate then. So he was very happy about that as well. Good stuff. Mumford then in P2. Then Mumford then a fantastic race from you tonight. Then you left it to the last minute to get in the lobby, but you did a fantastic job in qualifying and in the race as well, getting the timing then to a T, I think, pretty much in terms of the strategy call then, and it really helped you get in the fight then for the podium places then after the pit stop phase, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was sleeping. I woke up at 25 past and didn't realize what day it was, so I managed to get myself in the lobby just in time. And then, in terms of the race, yeah, the pace was good. I was surprised I was so quick. I didn't do any practice. So yeah, I was a bit surprised. I thought MHD was very quick as well, and congrats to Kiki on the win.
Well, fair play for waking up just in time then, and like I said, didn't look like you had any sleep dust in your eyes in that race. Then it was absolutely formidable pace indeed from yourself. And like I said to Kiki, then in terms of the pit stop strategy, then you timed it just about right then to get yourself back in the fight. Then you came out in a net P3, I think it was, with just MHD ahead of you, and of course Kiki, who was a couple of seconds ahead as well. But did you think potentially the win was on the cards then at this race?
Yeah, I mean, everyone, I think the Muta and MHD had penalties quite early, so as soon as we were like 4 cars kind of off on our own, I knew it was me versus Kiki essentially. So yeah, I couldn't get past Muta down the straight. He had really quick in the straights, which made it a bit more difficult. So, bit of a shame.
Well, still a fantastic result then for yourself and the Alpine team, then P2 tonight then. And of course, you are, I think, I'm not quite sure, I have to do the maths, I can't do the maths in my head, but I'm pretty sure that helps Alpine then in the constructors in gaining second place for Silver Season 8. But well done indeed to yourself then. And fair play then to Mumford then P2 here tonight then in Qatar then after just waking up just in time. So brilliant stuff indeed. I'm not sure if MHD has joined us then, but congratulations as well to MHD then in P3 tonight, then in the McLaren, then reserving tonight, then in place of Kydell. But there we go then. We're done here in Qatar then for silver. Then we'll be back for tomorrow night in bronze action. Then, of course, there's going to be one more round of Qatar and Abu Dhabi then for the final round of the 100% League is on Wednesday night then. So stay tuned to ALR. There is plenty more action coming up then, and we'll see you very soon.